Hi everyone, I welcome you all. A question that I always encounter, like after completing the classes of any subject, whether it be internal security, IR, polity, governance, or social justice, and the most important question and the most difficult question that students assumes it to be is on how to write answer. Like right, see the prelims exam is actually a screening test. Okay, so now, like screening test will never decide your rank. That will just decide your entry point. Whether you get entry to write the mains examination or not, that is only decided by prelims examination. But the major important point is your mains and interview, whereby the marks that you will get will decide not just your selection but also your rank, also your cadre allocation and every other thing. Okay, so like in this class, in this short class, I would like to answer all your problems. Okay, I will be teaching you on how to read the question, on what steps to follow exactly before answering a question, and how to inculcate this practice of writing questions, writing the answers. Okay, now see, first of all, before starting this class, I would like to just tell you one thing, that the most, as an aspirant, the most difficult point, okay, the most difficult point that students face is not how to complete the answer, but the most difficult point is at the starting phase on how to start writing the answer. Okay, I know this thing because once I was also a aspirant only. Okay, I do understand what problem my dear student face. Okay, and that is the main point why I have brought this document, and I will definitely be sharing this document with you all. Now what you have to do is, at least in 15 days, just go through this document. Like at a starting point you might feel that the steps that are mentioned in this document are very difficult, but once you start writing and you complete writing at least 25 to 30 answers, this habit will definitely inculcate in your answer writing practice, and gradually it will be ingrained in you, and no longer you will be like required to follow or read this document. Okay, this document must be ingrained inside you. All right. Yeah, I think I am audible. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon. Yeah, I think I am audible. Yeah. So let's start this document. This is for GS mains for all paper. Okay, this is not just limited to any single section, but is for all the papers, right? So now see, this is a sample. Okay, this is a sample answer. Just first read the question. What's the question is, critically examine the effectiveness of the Right to Information Act 2005 in ensuring transparent and accountable governance in India. All right. Now there are two samples. Okay, there are two samples. This is the first answer written by student A, and this is the answer written by student B. Let us first examine the answer written by student A. What student A is doing, so like how aspirant and most of the aspirant in the initial phase of their answer writing do, is to basically start the answer like the Right to Information Act was passed in 2005. Okay, and it is very important law in India. It allows citizens to ask for information from government. Before this law, people did not have access to government record, and there was a lot of corruption. Okay, now no introduction, just straight into a history lesson, right? Isn't this feeling like this? Is this a right introduction? What does right introduction means? How a right introduction looks like? I will be like, I have a complete page dedicated to this only, but to make you understand at this stage only, introduction, what exactly introduction is. Introduction is exactly like a identity card of your answer. Introduction means you are trying to introduce what you are going to write next in your answer. In the introduction, you must be reflecting. Like now, come to the right one. the RTI Act. Okay, RTI Act 2005. This will make a lot of difference. Here it is written Right to Information Act was passed in 2005, but here this is a very authoritative one. Now this student has written RTI Act 2005 operationalizes Article 19(1)(a). What is 19(1)(a)? Right to freedom of speech and expression, which also includes right to access information. Now, in this introduction, you have mentioned one credible source of the constitution, which is in itself a authoritative text, and then makes information a citizen's right, aiming to convert opaque governance into a accountable participatory one, right? So this is a better start, where you have not just used the act itself, but also you have basically abhi yahan par you are not introducing the answer, but what student have done here is, before this law people did not have access to information. This is not introduction, this is what you are writing answer itself. But you must not start writing the answer here at this phase. You must just introduce what you are going to write. Okay. Now this student has done it very correctly, that they have, like, this student B has actually just introduced it, gave a authoritative article of the Constitution of India, and then coming on to the main body, right? So this is a main problem that you commit. You start writing the answer in introduction itself. This must be avoided. Answer itself must not be there in your introduction. Intro means only intro, just a identity card of your, like for example, in your college and in your schools, you must be having an identity card. By just looking at that identity card, I can get the information, your just few informations like your name, your class, your standard, your school name, your contact number, emergency contact number, and address. Only this much information is there in your identity card. You must not, like, I will never be able to get to know about, like, what kind of person you are, how like what are you scoring in your examination. So I will never be able to get these information by just looking at your identity card. Now answer must not be there in the introduction. Introduction must just be limited to introducing the answer, right? Next is, for example, here you will see that there is no data, there is no example. Always the answers must be in point, the heading must be concretized, the heading must be small, answers must be in point, and there must be relevant data sources. Okay, you must provide certain datas in your answer. Okay, those data actually makes your answer more credible. Those data actually makes your answer more authoritative, right? So data must be there and examples must be there. Okay, the headings must be segregated. It must not be like you are just writing and no heading, no point, nothing. No. Next problem, critically demands two sides. You gave only one side. Now this point highlights that there is a, like, the first and the most important requirement before answering any question is to read these code words. What the what the question actually demands from you, what the question wants you to answer. You must not, by just, what students will do is, I know this very, like, I know this beforehand only, before checking your answer. What student, after just seeing the Right to Information Act, they will just start writing whatever they know about the answer, about this particular act. But the question is not asking your knowledge about this act, but the question specifically is demanding something. It is asking you to critically examine. That means what is asked must be answered. What must not be answered, but what is exactly asked in the question must be answered. Getting this point? So you must be limited to what exactly is asked. Sir, so should we only use phrases or we can use full sentences? Where? In the heading you are asking, or where? So now coming on to the major points here. So this is specific, like way forward is written, conclusion is given, main body is there, body is also segregated into several headings, whereby like examples are there. Okay, so some citation of some authoritative text is there. Okay, article from Constitution of India is mentioned, proper act is also mentioned here, challenges, achievement, everything is given here. All right. So this is exactly the proper pattern on how to in answer the phrases must not only be there. Proper answer requires elaboration and
Sir,
explanations.
like for example, in this PDF, it's just in points, like it's mostly phrases. The sentences are not like according to language rules correctly formed. तो उसमें
Where,
marks.
where, where you're saying? Where have you seen such answer?
No, like it's not in proper full sentences, right? It starts with something, a verb.
See, it
So
it all depends. It all depends. Now, I would always suggest you to properly write one point, because see what happens here is now that the only point of contact between you and the person who is actually going to check your paper is just this copy. That person who is going to check your copy don't know whose copy I am checking, right? So how they will get to know whether you know this point or not? Now, what happens in optional? In optional paper, it is assumed that you must be knowing the basic things. Okay, it is self-assumed. You can write the word, for example, constitutionalism in your optional paper, and it is self-explanatory that that the person who is checking the paper, like, he will assume that the person know constitutionalism. But here it is your general studies paper. Here, after writing certain thing, after writing certain phrase, a line must be there that explains the meaning of those things. Getting the point? So this is the thing. And now coming on to the next point, word decoder. Let us now decode these words. Okay. Now, why we always say, as a teacher, as a mentor, as a guide, why we always suggest to read the question at least twice? The objective is, we are not questioning your knowledge. We know that you must be, if you're writing the mains exam, you must be having sufficient information with regards to every other topic. But here our main point is what? Here our main point is so that by multiple time reading the question, you can decode the question. You can properly understand the demand of the question. Now, how you will understand the demand of the question? Now, just by clearly like pointing out such words. For example, if the word describe in your paper comes, now what you will do is, you will still write the same thing what you are going to write when word explain comes or when word elucidate comes. I know this very, like, I know this because you while checking your answers, I am never finding any difference, because I am intentionally giving such words like elucidate, describe, critically examine, but I am getting every answer in a similar way, in the same way. All right. Now, what does this word describe means? You can also write this, or this document will be there with you. It will be shared on the portal. All right. Now, this means if a question describe comes, now if I say that describe this spec. Now, what you will do is, you have to just explain the characteristics of this spec. You have to just explain what you see in this, how it works. You just have to describe. Okay. So what is written here? Give a factual point wise account of the features. Now, if a question comes on describe this statement, yeah, describe the functioning of this body, or describe XYZ, you just have to give the factual context of this. You just have to describe it in the sense you have, sir, is how stringent is grammar scrutinization in answer writing. I will just tell you. So describe means factually explaining the characteristics of the working of it. All right. So now here X refers to it's so examiner kya expect? What does examiner expect? Examiner, while asking the question describe, does not expect any judgment. Okay, they do not expect that you will be answering, you will be giving your judgment what should be done. No, no, no. I'm not asking what should be done. Here I'm just asking what is there. All right. So this thing you have to do. Now avoid adding opinion. Okay, these are the waste word. These are not going to be evaluated at any point of time in any whether it be UPSC or whether it be SPSC examination. Right. Next is when it comes explain. Okay, now you have to describe his features. Okay, working. Now explain requires to clarify why and how behind the fact. Now I am saying describe these specs. You will write this have two rectangular glasses, okay, two handles, like this way it can close. But when I am coming on to explain, now if I am describing that these two strands goes like this, now you also have to here explain how is it working. How is it working? If you are describing the powers of president, if you are describing, now you have to explain how they are on ground implemented, how in reality they are being exercised, right? So explain means how and why this particular mechanism, this particular phenomena, this particular event is actually happening. All right, so now explain means a bit different, okay thing. Okay, so here the examiner wants some reasoning. They don't just expect the description of that particular thing, but they want some reasoning also behind it. All right. Now coming on to the next, elucidate. Elucidate means, now elucidate means there is a abstract idea given. Okay. There is a abstract idea given, and now on the basis of that phrase, on the basis of that abstract idea, what you have to do is you have to explain it in detail. Elucidate mostly comes at the point when the examiner is giving these questions regarding elucidate are mostly asked where a short phrase is given, but the examiner is expecting detailed explanation of that shorter phrase. All right, so this is the major point of elucidation. All right, so elucidate may, if for example I just give you a very short statement and the statement goes on like this. For example, what will happen if the crew in the ship itself revolts in the middle of the ocean? Now this is a what? This is a phrase. है ना? This is a phrase. Now I want a detailed and a greater explanation of the meaning of this phrase. All right. Now illustrate. All right. Now illustrate means once what? Yeah, illustration means now at one. Someone saying something?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes.
Sir, in elucidate, like about the mistake, can you give an example?
About the mistake. Okay, now here what you will do is you will basically what you will do is you will just explain that point. Now I just explained you now. I just explained you. I just gave you a statement that what will happen if the crew of a ship itself revolts in the middle of the ocean, right? What will happen now? So in this case, what you will say, if you start just writing by, then the pilot of the ship will have to come back, then the ship will not be able to go to the particular destination where it was supposed to go. No, this must not be done. In elucidation, what you have to do is you have to relate it to the other aspects also. What will happen if the people of a country itself revolts against the government of that particular country? What will happen at that time? You also have to relate it with concrete cases. You also have to relate it with the Gen Z protest that went in Nepal. You have to relate it with the riot that happened in against the presidential system of Sri Lanka. You have to relate it with other aspects also, right? So this you must do. Now, illustration requires explaining one thing with multiple examples. Okay, now you have to illustrate up. You can even include some case study in this. You can include some particular diagram in this. Now Illustration always comes at a point in exam when the examiner knows that you know. It is usually asked in such questions where the examiner know that you know the answer of this, but still the examiner wants more illustration substantiated with examples, case studies, all right, some diagrams, some flow chart like this, all right. So here just one, like when illustration comes, one example will only never help you out. Okay, you will have to illustrate it using multiple areas, multiple cases, right? All right. Now, enumerate. What happens in enumeration? Enumeration means basically list out points, factors. These are mostly the geography type of questions that comes with respect to enumeration. Enumeration is listing out several points from a particular single thing. You just have to write the answer in multiple points. First explain the factors, then features, and then move on like that. It's a simple answer. Okay. Now, don't write multiple paragraphs in that. Okay, just write simple points, giving subheadings and giving the answer in detail. Okay, not very detailed, but the points must also be limited only. Okay, moving on to define. Okay, define. What does the word define many time comes? Okay, now this word define, so state the precise meaning of or scope of a term. Okay, now you just have, when it comes to define, okay, now for example a question comes, define the meaning of the term constitutional law. For example, this statement comes, all right. Now it is expected that you will explain completely the meaning of the term constitutional law. Even with just explanation in your own words will also not help you. Now what you require more is you must also substantiate it with authoritative wordings. For example, the saying of some prominent scholars, for example, Grenville, Austin, Upendra Bakshi. What does, even in some, if in some Supreme Court judgment, the term, the meaning of this term is clear, then you must quote that also. Getting the point? You must also like substantiate it with several cases. All right. So that is define. Define means you have to describe, you have to explain the meaning of a particular term, terminology, and like substantiate it with authoritative text. All right, that is आपका define. All right, now this is more even if you just in the opening line, if you just quote the article of an Indian any article of the Indian Constitution, that will also help you. If you just quote any particular section of any act that defines the meaning, you, that will also work. All right, and even if anything stated by judges in judgment of any any court, so whether it be High Court or Supreme Court, that will also work in this case. All right, highlight or bring out. You have to answer the entire question like the way you answer, but specifically whatever is specifically asked to be highlighted, give more emphasis on that. Okay, give more emphasis on that particular thing that is asked to be highlighted in the answer. Okay, don't ignore this. Don't, here in this point you cannot afford to give equal weightage to all the aspects that you are writing. Write every aspect, but give a greater emphasis on certain aspects. All right, now next is throw light on. So throw light on, you must like give detailed explanation of an issue particularly, and that explanation must be in a very clear format. Okay, very clearly you have to explain any particular thing in detail. All right, now tier 2 is discuss. Now this discuss word is a bit difficult word to answer when it comes in your exam. What happens? Discuss means to give a comprehensive account. Now, when it comes to discuss, what happens when we generally, like after the class, when we discuss on some point, or when even in class we start discussing on some particular point, what we do is, you say something, you say a very different perspective, you might say very different perspective, your viewpoint might be very different, my counter viewpoint might be very different. So this answer, when discussion is asked, it must also look like discussion. At one point you will give one opinion, at another point you will give another opinion, another person's viewpoint. So multiple viewpoints must be given while the question on discussion comes. Discuss is like the literal discussion type of answer. Okay, so from every dimension the answer must be there. Only single sided or one dimension answer must not be there. All right. Examine. Examine is, now examine. Okay, now in examine word is a bit similar to the word called investigation. Okay, what happens in examine, you must investigate that particular matter in detail. Okay, what you do, what you have to do is, now for example, the presidential position is asked. What is the position in paper 2? What is the position of president in as per the Indian constitution? First you will refer to the parliamentary system of government. Okay, now you will deep dive into that. First you will quote article 53, 54, then come to 74, then you will come to article 75 clause 3. Abhi now you are just thinking ye kya kya bol rahe hai na? But when you will study, when you will learn all these things, it will be very easy. But my point here is, while like answering the question related to examining, you have to, as there is single subject, the position of president, but you have to investigate more deep into that particular subject. Okay, so this is the requirement of this particular question. Analyze, yeah, analyze. So this is the same only. Now what you have to do is, when it is asked to analyze something, what you have to do is, a broader concept must be divided into smaller concepts, and likewise you have to do what, you have to then explain each component separately. Okay, analyze means analyze it properly, component wise component. Now everything has component. For example, even a very basic thing that is like something related to, like for example, now this year a very much expected question is El Nino. Now if El Nino is there, question on El Nino from geography is there, you must break that particular event into certain subheadings and must analyze every factor separately. Okay, that is analyze. Okay, account for. Now if a particular question is asked, you have to do what, you have to give reason or causes behind that, and what are going to be the expected outcomes of that. Okay, so account for means giving the causes behind a particular situation. Okay, stating the reasons behind a particular situation. All right, now coming on to differentiate or distinguish, that's very sure you must be like okay with this question, that if there are only like if this question is asked when two things are asked at one point, and you will have to differentiate or distinguish it. Okay, now this is the thing here. Compare and contrast means only comparison word is like coming there, then you have to just compare it. But compare and contrast means not only similarities but also differences. Okay, now this is there. Substantiate means a thing is asked, explain that thing, but even add more facts, more cases, more evidences to it. Okay, substantiate it means I'm saying I told you that I walked at 4 p.m. outside, but now you also have to add the witnesses ki bhai, he saw you going outside at 4 p.m. She saw you going outside at 4 p.m. CCTV was there. Your meeting was scheduled at this time. You were there, hai na? So substantiating it with, okay, more things. Now this is evaluative या critical word is coming. Now the most important like word is this only, and the most problematic word is this also. Okay, so now what will you answer when this question critical comes? So when this question critical comes, like the examiner is expecting expecting you to deep delve into it. Okay, the examiner is expecting you to go more deeper into that concept. Now here you have to give reasoned assessment of it. You will have to point out the merits of that thing, you have to point out the demerits of that thing, and critically means somewhat your judgment is also expected. What you as an upcoming administrator is going to do. Okay, likewise, see what happens is in India, different states conducts their judiciary examination for the post of district judges also. You know, before becoming a judges, in that question in the mains paper of judiciary examination itself, the question comes on framing the judgment. You are not a judge, but still they are expecting you to frame judgments. UPSC is also such an examination where you are going to be a magistrate or you are going to be a high level officer. Now they want your reasoned judgment also when it is asked to critically examine it. Now critically means, no, but the judgment must not be like this ki I feel doing this. No, no, it must not be like you feel. The examiner is not asking you to state what you feel. They are asking you to state what a good administrator must feel like. So you must point your observation, but never write I felt that, you felt that, he must do that. Getting the point? So this is the observation from my side. Now your verdict, not just fact. Okay. What you should avoid, the critical part is where marks live. See, when it is asked critically, answer will also be given to you on the basis of that word critically only. Critically requires critical examination. Okay. Now coming on to next, that is critically analyze. So now you also have to analyze. ठीक है, एनालाइज वाला तो है ही है, बट क्रिटिकली दैट मीन्स योर जजमेंट. ओके, दैट मीन्स what you think, what your understanding looks like in this matter. All right. Okay, now critically discuss. Now discussion must be there, various viewpoints must be there, but your judgment must also be there. One very big myth and misconception which is there in the minds of students preparing for this examination, commission's examination, is that what student feel is, in conclusion, there should always be a balance. But your balance is never conclusion. It is always correct to take one stand. अरे यूपीएससी और एसपीएससी never expect any administrator to be balanced every time. Recently what happened in Delhi, you can see. Now in that situation, do you expect the administrators posted in various districts in Delhi, specifically in central district, to be balanced? No, they will have to take certain stand. They will have to control the riot. They will have to tackle with the stampede. So never it is expected to be always balanced. Take a stand. You must be with spine. Administrator is never spineless. They have their stand. But the question is, it should be a reasoned stand. It should be a constitutional stand. It should be a legal stand. It should be an ethical stand. It must not be immoral. It must not be arbitrary, and it must be not be non-reasonable. Okay. So this thing must be approached while writing the answer. Okay. Coming on to next is now evaluate. Evaluate is basically judge the worth, validity, or effectiveness of any particular criteria. Okay, you have to judge whether this thing will be right or not. This thing will be successful or not. This thing has to be done or not. Getting the point? So this is aapka evaluate. Critically evaluate means substantiate. Understand the merits or demerits of it and substantiate it with what? Substantiate it with your judgment. Okay. Comment or critically comment. Comment means put your observation. What you feel. Your observations must be there. Okay. What you observed and you felt. Okay. That is comment. All right. Assess to what extent. Now determine. Now it is determine the degree importance or success of something. Okay. To what extent do you think the Data Protection Act can bring changes? Data protection bill can bring changes. To what extent do you think medical termination of pregnancy in India, which is governed by Indian statute. So how do you think it is going to basically like bring impact on the condition of women in our country? How is it going to affect the fundamental rights of the child as well as the fetus in the womb of the woman? Okay, so you have to basically access at to what extent it is going to help the protection of the rights of that women, right? If a question comes whether menstrual leave must be mandated in the country or not, to what extent do you think that will bring positive change in the country? To what extent do you think? Okay, to assess that. All right, this is upka to what extent or to assess. Okay, now 9 stages which you pass through, not just you but everyone passes through. This is about the initial writing strategy that students usually encounters. Now here the stage 0. What is the stage 0? Stage 0 is where you are also 0 with respect to writing answers. Okay, this is the beginning stage, baseline diagnostic stage. What I usually recommend at this stage is, now don't think about your, don't even give that answer to check to your teacher, because sometimes what student is, they feel shy that what kind of answer teacher might scold me or whatever the case be. Now at this point what you have to do is, now you have those points what makes a answer good answer. Now don't think about anything in the world, don't give a damn to anything, just sit, diagnose yourself. How will you diagnose yourself? Just write, and honestly just see your answer. And my personal suggestion is, keep the copy, keep that first answer copy in front of you and keep it preserved in your folder. Just look at that answer which you wrote for the very first time at the initial stage of your preparation. After writing 50 answers, you yourself will be able to diagnose how better you are doing, how better you are performing. This preparation is never about getting ahead of your friends. This preparation is all about how better, at what level you were yesterday and at what level you are today. Every single day must pass by learning something. I'm not saying only learn Lakshmikant, only learn Rajiv Ahir. I'm saying learn something. Even if you don't get time, but you must never sleep before at least learning something new for 10 minutes at minimum. Like, just read newspaper. By newspaper reading editorial, you must also be able to learn something new at least. So this must be done. Decode the question. This is very important. As I just told you, understand, read question twice or thrice before answering it, and first decode the parts of the question, because the marking scheme of the question stands like the number of parts or number of question a single question is asking. You will be awarded marks on the basis of whether you are addressing all the parts or not. If 3 parts are there in the question, then your marks will be awarded to you for answering the 3 parts only. It is not that if you just answer blatantly a single thing, that then only you will get marks. It is not like that. Okay. Next is recall and mind map thing. Okay. What you can do is, at the initial stage of writing answer, to make your answer better, just take one rough sheet and just sketch it. These all points I will write in the answer. These all things I will include in the answer. Then referring it to, you can write the answer. That will also help you. Next is choose the skeleton. Now this skeleton is also very much required. When descriptive question is asked, one intro, one body, one conclusion. When analytical question is asked, one intro, one body, but multiple perspectives body. Multiple perspectives: socio, technological, ethical, economical, political, religious. Okay. Critically evaluated. Then intro, merits, demerits, balanced verdict, and way forward. Balanced verdict sometime can be skipped. No problem in that. All right. Two-sided questions are asked. Like, answer is there, but 2 things are separately asked. In that, intro, argument for, argument against, then your reasoned stand. I have written your reasoned stand, not your balanced stand. You getting the point? Then first write the introduction in 30 to 40 words, then write the body. This requires the major bulk of your time, at least 4 to 5 minutes. Use diagrams and flow chart. Now one diagram or one flow chart can replace 30 to 40 words. Okay, that's for sure. Then write the conclusion. What is time management strategy? For 10 marker question, 120 to 150 words are required. 7 to 8 minutes must be given. For 15 marker, 200 to 250 words are required and 11 to 12 minutes will be given to you for answering that question. Okay. After every single revision or study, you must use mocks. Okay. So that, and even after writing, you will get to know, okay, like how much you are becoming capable enough to answer. Okay. What should be your practice ladder if you haven't already started writing answers? If you haven't already started, now this must be your strategy for the initial level 1 to 2 week. Daily you have to write something, but for that time, don't take into consideration the time limit. Open your books, open everything, just write. Not at all. It is not required that you must adhere to the strict restrictions in the initial 1 to 2 week. After 1 to 2 week is over, now for 3 to 4 week, keep the clock, train yourself. Even if you exceed, no worries, but at least measure your time. Okay, at least measure how long you are like taking it. Timed but notes. Okay, but still some time regulation must be started. At level 3 for 5 to 8 weeks, full mock condition must be there. Okay, now during this time you have to completely sit at the same time when mains is like held in the day. Okay, sit in the constrained environments, like sit in a like closed environment under peer pressure. Be like, just mentally be prepared to be under peer pressure. Like the person like sitting in front of me is writing and I have stopped already. Such kind of pressure must be hypothetically be there in your mind, and in that situation write the answer. Okay, now ongoing, now after this level 4, which continues for several months, that is peer ya mentor review. Get your copies at least evaluated from either your teacher or your mentor or even your friends. Okay, this can be done. Now these are certain hacks which you can follow and must follow. Okay, what are these hacks? Hack number 1, before writing anything, just underline certain, Chavi, underline. Okay, I understand, but just ye sun lo thoda sa na. Underline and circle. Okay, so the code words must be underlined, the words important must be highlighted in your answer. Okay, second hack is 8 lens scan. Sometimes what comes in our mind is, this is a very small topic, how to write 250 words answer from this particular small topic. Now what you have to do is just always learn 8 factors. 8, I'm saying: political, economic, social, constitutional, international, environmental, technological, and ethical. If you have learned these 8 factors, any single answer you can give in not 250 but even 2000 words. No problem will come at that stage. Getting the point? Learn these 8 factors. Now it is introduction formula. Now how your introduction must look like? It is define the core term. What is asked? If I just told you, if for example data protection is asked, then write first what data protection stands for. There are several types of data. Now to protect that, so just write the introduction to that. Okay, or you can start it with one data. One data, to start it with data is a good option. Okay, start it with data. Okay, so it should be like, it should look authoritative. Okay, fourth is SWOT. Now sometime what you can use this SWOT analysis also. Have you ever heard about SWOT analysis? Huh?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes, and you must have heard about that. Okay, that is how your body, like complete answer must look like: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. SWOT: strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats. These four things you can use while answering your question. Okay. Value bank: maintain a running personal register where, for example, you just completed your constitutional and non-constitutional bodies. For example, in your polity, keep a register of 40, 50, 60 pages. Make short notes. Try to make short things. Note down. If you just saw in your newspaper a recommendation of a committee, write what the committee recommended. Write the name of the committee. Tangan committee. So whatsoever be, but write the name of those committees, right? Then 3-line rule: no block of prose should be longer than 3 to 4 line. One block of your answer without changing the line must not be of more than 3 to 4 line. The answer must not look like a rectangular block. It must not be like a rectangular block. Okay. So more dense paragraphs must not be there. It must be loose. Okay. Diagram dividend. Now, if you are falling short of words, 30 to 40 words can be replaced using one diagram or flow chart. Way forward formula. Now, for writing way forward, 3-tier things can be there. For example, you are concluding by writing way forward for any topic. One you can do is you can write how one policy can be fixed. Right? This is the policy and this policy requires this rectification. Second is write institutional strengthening measure. Right? How this institution, first, right? How policy can be reformed. For example, if anything is there with regards to election, right? How anti-defection measure can be addressed, can be strengthened. How, for example, recently 7 MPs from Rajya Sabha, they switched the party. It is called as merger. In reality, it is described as merger, but whether it was merger or defection, so it is still pending there in the court that this matter is there. Okay, so abhi dekho yahan kya, what you have to do is you have to first write a policy reform, like the Representation of People's Act must be strengthened, anti-defection measure must be strengthened. Then second, right, more strengthening ECI, constitutional body must be strengthened, strengthen the Election Commission of India. Okay, this can be done. Third, citizen level change. What people can do, people must elect the person whom they think will definitely represent their voice. So first is policy rectification, institutional measure. Third is citizen centric measure. Got the point? So this is how you should write. PYQ mapping, always keep a tap on PYQ and 10-second scan. First, before writing, just take 10 seconds and scan everything in your mind. Okay, then start writing. Okay, like these are 90-second self audit. Run it after every practice answer. Now you will think that, oh, I have to just think of these 9 things, but slowly after 10 try and testing thing, it will be ingrained in you. It will be there in your mind. Okay, after 10 tries. Okay, first is whether you have circled the code words or not. Second is whether you have underlined the keywords in your answer or not. Third is whether your introduction was direct introduction to the answer or not, or whether it was generic. Fourth, body, was your organized or not, whether multiple dimensions were there in your answer or not. Each line was of less than 2 to 3 lines, sentences, or was it of more sentences? This is a self-evaluation technique. Then at least one value add, whether you have quoted one article, report, or case or not, which is required. Then you must, whether you have used a diagram, flow chart or not. Then whether you have, for critical and evaluative questions, whether you have written the merits and demerits both or not. Whether you have like written a good, like forward looking way forward or not, or whether it was generic only. Like whether you were within the word limit or not. Okay, whether you have crossed the word limit or not. Was your handwriting legible to the examiner? Because you must not allow the examiner to put efforts in evaluating your answer. The examiner must not put efforts. Okay, so whether your writing was legible or not, and did one final check for directive word matched before moving forward. The word, directive word, describe, evaluate, elucidate, these are directive words, whether your answer matches with the directive word or not. This is a 9-stage self-evaluating technique which you must follow after writing every answer, if you are not opening it to peer review. All right, and if even if you are opening it to peer review, first review it yourself. Okay, now talking about grammar. Now grammar is, it is not a English grammar exam. Now it will work even if your grammar is not that good, but yes, avoid making very common mistakes of grammar. Okay, avoid making very definite mistakes of grammar. Okay, you must avoid making that. Okay, any question you would like to ask? Bolo. हाँ हाँ, अभी तो नहीं है मेरे पास. हाँ बोलिए, उठा लो. नहीं नहीं, वहां नहीं, दिस इज फॉर प्रैक्टिस. पहले एक बार एक एक वर्ड लिख लो, फिर बेटर आंसर होगा. आदत हो जाएगी ना यार, 3-4 महीने करो तो सही है काम. तुम बोलोगे हम तो एक्सपर्ट हैं इस चीज में. अभी हो जाएगा, है ना. दिस विल हैपन. नहीं ना, एब्रीवेशंस मस्ट नॉट बी देयर. 100% नॉट बी देयर. ठीक है, बिल्कुल नहीं लिखना है एब्रीवेशंस. कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ऑफ इंडिया को COI, व्हाट इज दिस ना. नहीं, बिल्कुल. एटसेट्रा तो एक वर्ड है. हाँ, GOVT, FRs, DPSP. शॉर्ट वो तो जस्ट आपका इलिस्ट्रेशन के लिए एक, क्योंकि देखो मैं यहाँ लंबा लिखता ना, तुम पढ़ते नहीं. जस्ट दिखाने के लिए कि स्ट्रक्चर क्या होना चाहिए. हाँ हाँ हाँ, नहीं नहीं, लंबा एक्सप्लेन करना है ना, वो तो 250. हाँ हाँ हाँ, लास्ट लास्ट एकदम लास्ट. सब में कंक्लूजन इज रिक्वायर्ड एवरीवेयर. वे फॉरवर्ड दे दिया तब भी कंक्लूजन चाहिए. यही है वो. नहीं, कोई वैलिड है ही नहीं एब्रीवेशन. कोई है ही नहीं, बिल्कुल नहीं. कोई एब्रीवेशन वैलिड नहीं है फॉर यूपीएससी एंड एसपीएससी. नो एब्रीवेशन इज वैलिड. बताएंगे. चलिए और बताइए, कोई क्वेश्चन, प्लीज आस्क सम क्वेश्चन इफ एनी इज देयर, एनी डाउट, एनी प्रॉब्लम, एनी थिंग इन योर माइंड. दिव्यांका, दिया, कशिश, क्रिश. यार दिखता भी तो नहीं है. सेजू, शौर्य. द जिम कौन है? विदुषी. एनीथिंग? नो डाउट अभी. मेल मी इफ एनी डाउट इज देयर. ठीक है, यू कैन मेल मी amitplutusias@gmail.com. No problem in that. Okay, reach out to me in case you want any kind of help. Bye bye, take care everyone, all the very best. If you face any problem, please do reach out to me. Okay, chalo, take care.